Hi everyone, this is the last part of the 2-video series on Apex security mechanisms. If you missed the part 1 video, be sure to check it out first. As we have seen in the last video, even if an Apex class is declared as with sharing, it does not enforce field level permissions of the current user. So Anna was able to update the tier field on the opportunity on which she does not have edit access. To enforce object level and field level permissions in Apex, we can explicitly call the SObject-describeResult methods and field-describeResult methods like isAccessible, isCreatable, isUpdateable, or isDeletable to verify the current user's CRUD, create, read, update, delete, and field-level security permissions before performing a DML or SOQL. We have now modified the updateOpti method to execute the update DML statement only if the user has updatable access on the tier field. The syntax to call this method is schema.sobjecttype.opportunity.fields.fieldname.isUpdateable. As Anna doesn't have this access, she is now unable to perform the update. Similarly, if we want to check object level permissions, we can call methods on the schema.describeAsObjectResult at the object level. Now let's move on to security in SOQL queries. The sales user profile does not have read access to the custom fields, credit card number and expiry dates on the opportunity object. Sales user Anna Bresson cannot view this sensitive payment-related information on the opportunity detail page. We added a button on our Lightning component that displays the financial information present on the opportunity. The code behind this button is a SOQL query that retrieves purchase order number, discount details, and credit card information fields from the selected opportunity. When Anna clicks this button, she is able to see the sensitive credit card information which she is not supposed to see. These fields are restricted to her via field level security on her profile. So here is a quick callback to the last video where we discussed that even though an administrator has configured the access levels, an Apex developer needs to take care of security in the code. In this case, in order to make sure the SOQL query enables field level and object level security permissions, we use the clause with security enforced. The SOQL query now runs with field level security enforced. Now let's check what happens when Anna clicks the button. She sees this error saying she doesn't have the necessary access. The point to note here is, if any of the fields or objects referenced in the select query using with security enforced are inaccessible to a user, a system.query exception is thrown and no data is returned. Although Anna can access purchase order and discount fields, the SOQL is throwing an exception because the query has at least one inaccessible field. What about object level permissions? The with security enforced clause enforces object level checks as well. So if a user does not have read access on opportunity object, in that case also this SOQL throws a query exception. This clause is kind of too harsh, isn't it? Anna does not have access to credit card information, but she does have access to other fields like discount and purchase order. But the with security enforced clause totally shut down the doors and did not return any data. But what if you need to allow Anna to see at least partial data which she has access to? We can once again use the described result methods we discussed earlier, specifically the isAccessible method. We have changed the code a bit and used dynamic SOQL to modify the query that gets executed. We are using the isAccessible method to include payment-related fields in the SOQL query only if they are accessible to the user. Now Anna can see the fields which she has access to instead of seeing an error message because we are not even querying for the inaccessible fields. We can see in the logs that the query does not have the credit card fields. This approach is fine, but what if there are many such fields and a lot of user profiles with several different combinations? We cannot keep modifying the SOQL by adding the isAccessible methods for every field. There is another way, which is the stripInaccessible method. This method can be used to strip the fields from query results that the user cannot access. We have the same old SOQL query now without any extra clauses or modifications. The security class has the method stripInaccessible that takes two parameters. The first parameter specifies the type of field level access check to be performed. It can take one of the values: readable, creatable, updatable, or upsertable. The second parameter is the list of SObjects to be checked for fields that are not accessible to the running user. It returns an object of type SObjectAccessDecision, and we use the getRecords method to retrieve the returned records, which are identical to the input records except that the fields that are inaccessible to the current user are removed. So when Anna clicks the button now, she once again sees the fields that she has access to, but we achieved that in a much more efficient way using stripInaccessible. In the logs, we can see that the query in line number 29 has actually returned the credit card number as well. But then we are calling the stripInaccessible method, and that has removed the credit card details. And it is only returning the fields that are accessible to the user, like the discount percentage and the purchase order. What about object level permissions? The stripInaccessible method has an optional third parameter of type Boolean, which when specified as true, enforces object level CRUD permissions. In this case, if the running user does not have access to the opportunity object and the third parameter is set as true, then the method throws an exception. So these are the various mechanisms to enforce object level and field level security in Apex. Please do like, share, and subscribe to SFDC Bytes if you think this is helpful. Thank you.